Ever feel like you're just skimming the surface when it comes to what's happening in Kamloops?
It's easy to feel that way. There's a lot going on.
We're doing a deep dive into the nitty-gritty of local government and community action. We're talking about actual city council minutes, reports, the stuff that usually makes your eyes glaze over.
But trust me, this is where the real story of Kamloops unfolds.
Exactly. And today's mission is to equip you with that insider knowledge. You ready to become a Kamloops know-it-all?
Absolutely. Let's decode this stuff,
Okay, so first up, we're tackling this whole idea of citizen engagement.
which is huge in Kamloops, by the way.
Right. It seems like every other week there's some new initiative or consultation process.
It's really refreshing, actually. You see how much emphasis they put on giving residents a voice. Not just a voice, but a real say in shaping the city.
And a perfect example of that is the whole Build Kamloops debate. Remember those big projects, the Arts Center and that arena and multiplex everyone's been talking about?
Yeah, those were some pretty ambitious proposals.
Well, we got our hands on the minutes from a Build Kamloops council meeting back in July, and let me tell you, things got interesting.
Oh, yeah. Spill the tea. What went down?
Well, first off, these minutes show just how much work goes on behind the scenes to prepare for something as big as a public vote.
Because it's not as simple as just, throwing a question on a ballot.
Not at all. In this case, they're gearing up for what's called an alternative approval process.
Which always sounds a little intimidating, doesn't it?
It does sound very official. Basically, it means that Kamloopsians will get to directly decide whether or not these projects go ahead.
So it puts the power in the hands of the people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what struck me while reading these minutes was how much effort the city is putting in to making this whole process easy to understand and participate in.
Well, that's crucial. You want people to feel like their vote actually matters and that they can navigate the process without pulling their hair out.
Right. And they're really thinking of everything. Like they even talk about making the forms available online and in physical locations.
Smart move. Not everyone's comfortable with technology, and it ensures everyone has equal access.
And then they even talk about having separate forms for residents and property owners just to avoid any confusion.
It's like they're anticipating all the questions you might have before you even have them.
Exactly. Now, Build Kamloops wasn't the only item on the agenda when it comes to getting people involved. Remember all the talk about town hall meetings?
Oh, yeah. Those were a hot topic for a while.
We managed to snag a report from August of last year that gives a behind-the-scenes look at how those town halls came about.
Because I always wondered how they decided on the format, the topics.
Well, this report lays out their whole strategy, their pilot project, for how to make these meetings actually productive.
Because a lot of times town halls can just devolve into,
Yeah, chatting matches.
Exactly.
But this wasn't just a box-ticking exercise for them. They've really put a lot of thought into it.
Okay, so tell me, what were some of their big ideas?
Well, for starters, they decided to split the city into 6 zones for these meetings, which I thought was really interesting.
6 zones. That's a unique approach. What's the logic behind that?
It's all about creating more manageable groups with shared interests. Like each zone represents a kind of microcosm of Kamloops.
So instead of this massive town hall where it's easy to get lost in the crowd,
They went for smaller, more intimate settings where people could actually feel heard,
that makes a lot of sense. It creates a space for more focused and meaningful conversations.
And it wasn't just about the zones. They actually experimented with different formats for these town halls, trying to find the sweet spot between like structured discussion and actually letting people share their thoughts.
Because you don't want it to feel too rigid.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And they ended up going with something called a World Cafe style, which honestly, when I first read it, I was like, a World Cafe, what does that even mean?
Yeah, it sounds more like a coffee shop than a town hall.
I know, right?
Ah.
But apparently, this World Cafe approach is all about small group conversations.
So kind of like those breakout sessions you get at conferences sometimes.
Exactly. And each group focuses on a specific theme or question, which, again, keeps things focused.
Makes sense. So it's not just everyone shouting their opinions into the void.
Hopefully not. But yeah, it seems like Kamloops is really serious about this whole citizen engagement thing. But not every meeting was about sunshine and roses, if you know what I mean.
Uh-oh. Sounds juicy. Did things get a little heated?
Let's just say the minutes from the council meeting on September 10th were a very interesting read.
Oh, fill me in. What went down?
Well, it sounds like the mayor's report took a bit of an unexpected turn, like veered into some territory that made a few council members raise their eyebrows.
Ooh, like what? What did they talk about?
I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say it seemed to touch on some topics that some felt were maybe a little too, shall we say, confidential for a public forum.
Ah, so that whole transparency versus discretion dilemma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where a point of order was actually raised.
Wow, okay. Things must have gotten serious.
Yeah, they did. And get this, they actually had a vote to temporarily relieve the mayor as chair of the meeting.
Seriously. Talk about a power move. I mean, I know these things are all very procedural, but still, you got to wonder what was going through everyone's minds at that moment.
Right. But, it wasn't all drama and intrigue. There were also some really heartwarming moments in this meeting.
Oh, good. I was hoping you were going to say that.
Yeah, like amidst all the procedural stuff, they also took the time to recognize some pretty incredible Kamloopsians.
Always nice to see some good news. Who did they shout out this time?
Well, one name that really jumped out was Bill Sundu. He was awarded the King Charles III Coronation Medal.
No kidding. What did he get that for?
Well, he's done a ton of work in the areas of international human rights and promoting justice.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, both here in Canada and internationally, this guy's the real deal. It's amazing, isn't it?
Right.
Like you said, local action, global impact.
Absolutely. It's inspiring to see.
And it wasn't just Mr. Sundu getting some kudos. The council also talked about plans to give a shout out to the Kamloops Lions Clubs.
Oh, nice. They do so much for the city.
I know, right? Talk about community spirit in action. Those lions are everywhere, always organizing something or raising money for a good cause.
It's great that they're getting some recognition for all their hard work.
Speaking of the community, the meeting minutes also touch on something that's probably on a lot of people's minds: senior resources.
Oh, right. What was that about?
So during the public inquiries, someone brought up concerns about accessibility at the Kamloops Seniors Community Center. It just reopened, remember?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Seems like there's some issues that need to be ironed out.
Yeah. It's a good reminder that even with the best intentions, not everything always goes perfectly to plan.
Totally. And it actually brings us back to something we've seen throughout these documents, that tension between what the community wants and needs and what the city can actually, realistically provide.
It's that constant balancing act, right? Trying to make everyone happy, but also working within those budget constraints.
So trying to bake a 10-tier cake with only one oven?
The struggle is real, but that's why this kind of deep dive is so important.
Totally agree. Because it helps connect those dots.
Exactly. We see the decisions being made, the priorities being set, and it gives us, the listeners, that context.
So we can better understand those decisions and maybe even, weigh in on them.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, Kamloops belongs to all of us, right?
100%. These documents, they're not just like dusty old records. They're a snapshot of our city in action.
And they show that even though there might be bumps in the road, even though those debates can get a little passionate sometimes, there's a real commitment to making Kamloops the best it can be.
Absolutely. And that's what's so exciting. We've seen how things work, how decisions are made, but the future of Kamloops, well, that's still being written.
And we all have a hand in writing it. So as you go about your day-to-day, think about what we've uncovered.
What resonated with you? What issues get you fired up? What would you bring to the table if you had the council's ear?
Because this deep dive, it was just the beginning.
Kamloops is your city. Get involved. Make your voice heard. Until next time.